I saw some raised hands. Yeah, please.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Very good afternoon. This is Akash. I represent Broadcast and CableSat. Recently, I have been to the Broadcast India show, which happens to be the largest show for the production, equipment, and the solutions. No one is talking about on the product side the same that these companies have been facing over the years. They have been restructuring themselves, their processes. They have been transforming their equipment as well. So I see this picture not even a half fill. That is below to that. What could be the reason behind it? They have been pumping up a lot of money into the market, but nothing is happening. Most of the top players struggling with this market 2-3 years down the line.
Returns.
Yeah. Be it cameras, support systems, the solutions. You take companies from China, US, Japan, Germany, anyone. Everyone is struggling.
Yeah, so I think a few things are happening, according to me. On the film side, some of the companies which are now getting of scale, their fortunes 2 years ago versus now is changing. That's one thing I would say. So I think as scale starts kicking in, some of the things will get a bit better. I do believe that. Having said that, I think this is one of the things our report also articulates. The apportionment, one is the amount of money itself, right? That needs to increase. And I think context and other things can increase that. How does the pie gets apportioned and who gets what? Also, I think needs some redistribution. So if we take a film, the celebrity, the amount of money the film will make, and historically, for whatever reason, the pie is a lot more skewed towards that than to the other parts, right? So it's a disproportionate skew. And you can keep taking on and on. The sports, the money you will pay for the rights can be disproportionately high. So it's also the skew where it's being spent, which can also have a scope for correction, I feel.
I think it's everything from not just the skew in films, for example. You're absolutely right, but it's also the way financing is structured. I don't think financing is structured. And Sudhanshu, I can see Sudhanshu sitting here. I mean, he could expound for an hour, I think, on this whole thing of how financing is structured in films and how that is one of the biggest drawbacks. I'm giving you simple examples of just opening a screen. A PVR has a theatre ready in Chennai, I'm forgetting which area, in December 2013, that screen is ready. Till December 2015, they are not able to open the theatre because that one license or permission has not come through. Finally, it takes a court order to open that screen. This is the reality of doing, and this is a company which is saying, I don't want capital. You're absolutely right. PVR says, I don't need capital. I generate enough money to finance myself. But can I just have speed and ease of open this thing? This is, it converts black money into white when you have more screens. When you have more phones, when you have a good broadband infrastructure where people download stuff legally, it makes black money into white. I mean, why, when you don't allow politicians to own cable in this country, you will turn black money to white. I mean, these are simple things.
Well, Vinita, sorry about this, but, this issue of ease of doing business and stuff, I think, in my opinion, this is a little bit overdone. And folks who are not successful in creating good businesses would always come back finding some excuses, and obviously look, I mean, so is Nestle, and Nestle had problems with Maggi noodles. We all know that. It became a huge story. We are all familiar with that. But did that mean that they left India and said, it's very difficult to do business here, let's shut shop and go away? They got back, recovered their market share, you deal with it. There's Unilever has been operating in India. These are two companies I worked for. And they've been very successful for over 100 years, 150 years they've been operating in India, and very successfully. They serve their consumers well, consumers kind of enjoy their relationship with their brands. So I think the environment we operate in is just one of the variables you deal with, and kind of find a way, in an ethical, right way, which is value-based, to kind of get back and say, this is something that you go to any country, there'll be some issues or the other that you'll have to deal with. We have our own set of issues.
I mean, if I was to build on Rajiv's question for a second, I mean, we deal with boards around the world. It's not that ease of business in China is incredibly high. It has its own share of challenges. So we talk about China, so many screens. They're good at infrastructure rollout. So I think that part is easy in that country. But you talk to an MNC trying to open up, I mean, business in China, they have different set of challenges. India has never been easy, you know, but if you can figure it out, it can be quite rewarding. That's been at least the story I've seen. Sorry, but there's a question.
Sorry, Neeraj, I've worked in 6 different countries and nowhere I found ease of doing business. So, you know, you just deal with it and move on.
Sorry, this gentleman here.
Yeah. My question is regarding piracy. Like, I want to know how piracy in India is going to affect the incoming FDI. Like, we take example of torrent. It's the biggest form of piracy in US and in India both. And we have seen even the biggest website has been closed down. Piracy is still there. So how is it going to affect the FDI?
Not having...
Yeah. See, already during the last month interview, we discussed about the piracy and come to a conclusion, and it is going to be taken over by Telangana government to implement it. If it is under the state government, they will do it. Otherwise, they will forward to the central government and do it. The conclusion is like this. The service provider will be responsible for any illegal downloading. 1,000 rupees will be the fine, and it will be automatically detected from the end user also if they are doing so. And 300 will go to the government and 700 will be for the content creator. And but before implementing that, there should be a cloud system where the original content is available with high quality. So there are so many service providers nowadays with the 4K content storage facility. So it will be within 6 months. The Telangana will take the initiative to implement it.
Okay, just to put it very simply, if piracy can be reduced. If there was no piracy, Indian film industry would be $4-5 billion industry. If piracy can be reduced, that money comes back into the industry, not just film, anywhere. It therefore means better returns for the companies and for the investors, and therefore people are more incentivized to invest in the industry. That's the simple this thing. Sorry, I'm sorry, there was a, yeah.
I wanted to address this to Mr. Verma. We're talking that the advertising, the revenue, it's about 65%. Also, the foreign countries, they are making on content and distribution. So if you could elaborate on that. And secondly, on Mr. Sohan, if you could elaborate on IndieWood, how do you want to, integrate the whole process? How people don't fund themselves? How to build a corpus if FDI is not coming in?
See, the limited point I was making there was as follows. The business models that are successful in India or currently that work are different than the business model that work in other countries. Indian business models are very heavily reliant on advertising revenues, which is something that is very different for other countries where people are willing to pay for content, consumers pay for content, you also get distribution costs. And now that is not something which is a part of the business model that multinational companies and other transnational companies as well as investors are used to. So this requires them to think differently and look at their strategies afresh to say, we are going to be operating in an Indian market which is going to be very different than the way we are used to doing business. And that therefore becomes a question mark for them to say, will we be successful in India or not? And hence, perhaps at times, they shy away from making investments, saying this is the entire algorithm of return on investment shifts. The time horizon of when and how you are able to recover your investment shifts. Therefore, you got to revisit the whole thing to say, are we prepared to make an investment in India? The uncertainty, the risks involved, all those parameters that these companies are used to, they change. Hence, probably that becomes a decision factor to say, we'll wait for a while, let the market mature, and then we'll go.
Yeah. See, IndieWood got 100 specific targets to complete. Out of 190 sample analysis successfully done. Rest 10 is with the hands of the government. That Telangana has taken the initiative. One of the target is we need to have immediate 10,000 new screens with the 4K projection facility. That is 2,000 multiplexes on an average 5 screens. The first sample was done at Trivandrum. We took over a 35-year-old theatre and converted it in 5 months. And Bahubali made only one 4K print for that theatre. It collected 3.5 crores. It's a record, all-time record. All the movies getting released there is setting a national record. Last 2 weeks back, another Malayalam movie got released. It also broke the record of Bahubali. So, animation industry, we set up the India's best five-level security system studio. There, the revenue is went up by 10 times. In Trivandrum, this theatre also, the revenue went up by 10 times when we changed the format. More people are coming to the theatre. So like that, everywhere the revolution has already started. For that, we need to have 2,000 multiplexes. These 2,000 multiplexes will be done by 2,000 corporates and Indian billionaires with their branding money. They will be making one branding theatre in their hometown. That is the first to enter into the consortium. Then they can invest on the movies or other products.
Hi, everyone. Rajiv, this question is to you. As a Hindustan Times, one of the leading publication and media house of India, and we have been discussing since yesterday, like embracing disruption to stay competitive. Obviously, certain changes is going, dynamism is changing in the marketing scenario where we have more than 300 million of mobile and screen rather. Obviously, Hindustan Times might be looking forward themselves on this channel, and obviously they are there. So what is the, in tomorrow date, what is the revenue model you looking for this channel?
You know, if you happen to be in the industry in which we are, you are obviously bound to be very nervous about the fact that what does the future look like, given the way other traditional media companies have gone in the West and several other countries in Europe and US. When you look at them, obviously it's not been great going for newspapers there. In Asia, the story has been somewhat different. And by Asia, I mean if you start from countries like Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, Taiwan, there are lots of countries where newspaper businesses are still alive, thriving, and doing very well. The question is, should we look east or should we look west for inspiration and for drawing some ideas about what lies ahead for us as far as the future is concerned? Now, when it comes to India, you cannot look at India as one country. We have many Indias in India. The vernacular India and the India which is living in the small cities is very different than India that you and I live in large cities. Although this is all transforming very fast. So this is about forecasting the future and how the future looks. It is better to adopt a strategy of hope for the best and plan for the worst, which is what we are doing. I do believe newspapers have a very long life left ahead of us, given our demographics, given the way vernacular India has still a long runway. I do believe that we are not going to go down the way US and Europe went. It is also because we have the benefit of seeing what went wrong there. I think one of the biggest things that went wrong for US, Europe, etc. was a denial. As digital media was arriving, newspapers were in a denial mode saying this is not going to happen, we are going to be all right. And therefore they were ill prepared for the kind of future which emerged. Nobody had thought that digitization of their countries and consumers getting on the web is going to happen so rapidly. Therefore, what we are doing is to try to become better prepared. We are becoming also a digital organization as we speak very rapidly. There are transformations which are happening in traditional media companies which is making us better prepared for that future. Therefore, my personal belief is that these different channels are going to coexist. News business is not going to go out of business. Newspapers might come under some pressure. Therefore, the best strategy for traditional media companies is to focus on becoming even better news companies rather than focusing on channel, and channel here being a paper or a digital or a television as a channel.
There's a last question which I'll take from this gentleman who's been wanting to, and then we'll have to wrap up the session.
I would like to draw the attention to the basic fact that why we are at 130th position for doing business, ease of business. The root cause of doing ease of business is we Indians don't think India first. We Indians don't keep our country first. Anybody who is a businessman or an executive or in the government or otherwise, for any reasons or personal reasons, tries to exploit the laws to his own personal benefit which goes against the interest of the country. Unless and until we create an awareness among the people to think our country first, I think we will not be able to improve in any direction, whatever we do. You see, ease of business has to come from the people. We have to think that whatever action I do, it should be in the interest of my country, not my personal self or my personal family. So if we are able to address this problem, I think most of the things will be sorted out. Thank you.
That is a question of national character, which I don't know how much we
that
can
is actually,
tackle here.
Actually, in my mind, it comes always, as Modi ji has started a Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, we should start a Charitra Nirman Abhiyan.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you all my panelists, and thank you audience for being there. Thank you.